Beneath our feet, right this second, there's a massive, completely invisible network of highly pressurized gas pipelines. Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to systematically unpack the critical, quantitative metrics used to track the safety of that exact infrastructure. I'm super excited to guide you through this today because understanding how we measure this stuff is absolutely vital, whether you're an investor, a regulator, or just someone living in a city.
Think about the sheer scale of the networks beneath us for a second. We're talking millions of miles of pipe. Operating all of that, the pipelines, the equipment, the storage facilities, it takes a really complex, long-term approach. But how do we actually quantify the safety of something we can't even see? Tracking what happens in those hidden pipes has massive implications for our communities, the environment, and obviously the financial stability of the utilities operating them. So, here is our agenda for today. 1. The high stakes of gas. 2. Tracking safety with SASB. 3. Metric 1. Reportable incidents. 4. Metric 2. Corrective actions. 5. Metric 3. Safety violations. And 6. Why these metrics matter.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the high stakes of gas.
Look, we have to start with the stark reality here. We aren't just talking about abstract spreadsheets and data points. Operating these gas networks means managing very serious, very real risks on a daily basis. Aging infrastructure or inadequate monitoring can lead to dangerous gas leaks. And a loss of containment isn't just a minor inconvenience, right? It can trigger fires or explosions, which are terrifyingly dangerous, especially in densely populated urban areas. Plus, these leaks spew fugitive methane emissions into the atmosphere, causing serious environmental damage. We are dealing with events genuinely hazardous to human life, property, and the environment.
Moving to Section 2, Tracking Safety with SASB.
So with stakes literally life and death, how do investors and regulators actually standardize how they track a utility company's safety record? Enter the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, or SASB. They provide this precise standardized framework to measure operational transparency. Specifically, we're looking at their standards for the gas utilities and distributors industry, which gives us the exact metrics designed to track a company's performance.
We're going to zero in on one very specific accounting standard today, IFASQ 540A.1. This metric essentially forces gas distributors to lay their cards on the table. Under the topic of integrity of gas delivery infrastructure, they have to disclose 3 distinct sets of safety data: the number of reportable pipeline incidents, the corrective actions received, and the violations of pipeline safety statutes.
Now, these 3 submetrics aren't just random data points pulled out of a hat. You can think of them as a progressive, escalating ladder of regulatory failure. Step 1 is the hazardous incident itself. Step 2 is the corrective action, meaning the mandate to fix a discovered hazard. And Step 3 is the formal notice that a safety law was actually broken.
Let's dig into Section 3, Metric 1, Reportable Incidents.
The crucial point here is understanding what actually counts as a reportable disaster. According to SASB, an incident isn't just your everyday minor leak. A reportable incident involves a gas release with severe consequences. It only triggers a report if it hits specific human, financial, or environmental thresholds. On the human side, we're talking about an incident resulting in a death or a personal injury so severe it requires inpatient hospitalization. Financially, an incident is triggered if it causes an estimated property damage of at least $50,000. And this is interesting. This standard explicitly specifies that this includes losses to the operator, to third parties, or both, but it strictly excludes the cost of the lost gas itself. It is purely focused on the collateral damage caused by the release.
Environmentally, a report becomes mandatory if there's an unintentional gas loss of 3 million cubic feet or more. Think about that volume for a second. 3 million cubic feet. So when an ESG analyst looks at this first metric, they are seeing a highly specific, quantifiable count of major, incredibly damaging events.
All right, on to Section 4, Metric 2, Corrective Actions.
Once a major risk is spotted, or an incident like we just defined happens, authorities have to step in. A corrective action is essentially a strict regulatory mandate. The standard defines it as being issued when a specific pipeline facility is found to be actively hazardous to life, property, or the environment. It's the regulator stepping in and saying, hey, this is an active danger, and you must deal with it right now.
And let's be clear, these are forceful interventions, not polite suggestions. Regulators can force the utility to completely suspend or restrict the use of a facility. They can demand intense physical inspections, rigorous testing, or just flat out order the immediate repair or total replacement of the faulty pipe.
Tracking this number tells us exactly how often regulators are forced to step in to stop a disaster.
Which brings us to Section 5, Metric 3, Safety Violations.
This is the final and really the most severe rung on our regulatory ladder. This third metric tracks the official notices proving that a gas utility actually broke the law. SASB defines this as a violation of a jurisdictional pipeline safety protocol considered hazardous and, crucially, one that results in a formal notice or warning. It is absolutely vital to keep these two concepts separate in your mind. A corrective action tells a company, you must fix this active hazard. But a safety violation is the formal penalty or notice acknowledging that the utility broke the safety rules to begin with. By making utilities report both, the SASB framework forces total transparency about the hazards present and the laws broken.
Finally, Section 6, Why these metrics matter.
Why should analysts, public policy advocates, or investors care about these three specific numbers? Well, accidents, especially fatal ones, lead to negligence claims and incredibly costly court battles. Gas leaks trigger direct regulatory fines and hyper-focused scrutiny. But here's the twist. It's actually not all downside for the companies. Fixing that aging infrastructure to prevent violations gives regulated utilities a really lucrative chance to grow their capital investments, which can then be factored into their rate base to actually improve their returns.
So, maintaining infrastructure integrity isn't just about disaster avoidance. It's a massive return on investment. As the SASB standard explicitly highlights, financial opportunities here include better stakeholder relations and reduced risks of nasty regulatory or civil fines. Basically, by keeping the number of incidents, corrective actions, and violations low, utilities build community trust, dodge penalties, and improve their financial footing all at once.
Which leaves us with a final question. As our vast pipeline infrastructure continues to age, can we really afford the human and financial costs of ignoring these critical safety metrics? I'll leave you to ponder that. Because honestly, keeping a really close, quantified eye on incidents, corrective actions, and violations is the only way to ensure the invisible networks powering our world stay safe. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep asking the tough questions.